This week on the Storycraft Society, we're going to be talking about whether Frontline Gaming Mats are a good investment or not. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to another week of the Storycraft Society. It is Thursday, so that means it's another new episode, and this one is going to be a two-parter. We're actually going to be talking about gaming mats. Specifically, the first one we're going to be talking about is Frontline Gaming Mats. That's going to be this week's video. And then next week's video, we're actually going to be making our own gaming board, I guess you should say. And what I'm going to try to recreate in that is what I get from a Frontline gaming mat to see which is worth it. And then at the end of that video, I'll kind of compare and contrast and say why I would choose which one I choose. So this week, we're just going to be talking about the Frontline gaming mats. So let's jump into it. So the first thing that we want to talk about is, why do you want a gaming mat at all? There are a lot of different ones on the market that you can buy. Let's compare and contrast two of them that are on the market. So the first one that I have is a Frontline gaming mat, and the second one that I have is a piezo. I'm not even sure what it's called. I got it so long ago, but it's one of their, you can buy it in a square and it's folded up. And the first thing that you should notice about them is one is very matte, and one is very gloss. Now this might not seem like a big deal, and it's certainly something that I paid more attention to once I started filming videos. But even before, I would lay one of those glossy piezo mats out, and always at least one of my players would complain that the light is hitting it the wrong way and it's blocking everything. Now, this gets a little better if you start using 3D terrain to go up, off of the mat. Then that way, at least the light's not bleaching out the 3D terrain. But it totally ruins the effect of having the mat, in my opinion. Now, the Frontline gaming mats, they reflect none of the light. They really do a good job of just letting the light enhance them instead of the light doing something that it causes a nasty reflection. That's really important. Hey everyone, if you're liking this content, definitely leave me a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to check out all of the back catalog of videos we have on the channel. If crafting terrain into your stories or crafting stories is something that you're into, this is the channel for you. Check it out. All right, back to the video. Another huge selling point for Frontline's gaming mats, compared to the piezo specifically, is that when you fold it up and then unfold it, you get these nasty fold lines, and there is nothing you can do about it. I'll even throw in a little tip here. The one that I have, I actually keep laid out flat. I have a special table where I leave all of my mats like that they always stay flat, because they looked so horrendous when you would unfold them that I won't store them any other way. I mean, I never use them. This was the first time I've pulled it out in probably 2 years, but I still keep them all stored flat, and you still have all these fold lines. With the Frontline gaming mats, you can literally ball them up. I mean, you can see in the footage, I end up just brutalizing these mats, and they always lay out flat. It's the most impressive thing, that you could literally store them in a corner in a ball, and I still think, first of all, don't do that, but I still think that they would end up on the table and be, absolutely good looking. So. The next big thing to talk about with the Frontline gaming mats is that they come in a variety of different sizes and images, pictures, art styles. I don't know what the right term is. All kinds of like space fantasy, all the way to high seas, to all the fantasy stuff. And of course, the fantasy stuff is what I have the most of. But they come in all kinds of varieties. And what's cool about this is that you can find the mats that fit your table the best. I've actually bought a whole bunch of different sizes over the years, because some of them I want a big, huge, massive battle mat, and that's gonna help my encounter. But also sometimes I just need a little pocket mat, and maybe your situation is that you play D&D on your dining room table and it's just a little 4-seater and you can't take up that much space. There is a Frontline gaming mat for that use. Not to mention, the art styles are really, really unique, and I think that they inspire the terrain a lot. When I bought my very first one, I only had one option to go off of, but as I collected more and more of them, I found myself letting the mat sometimes inspire my terrain choices, what color trees I use or what types of houses I use, that sort of thing. And I think that that's really beneficial too. So now let's move on to what you get if you buy one. You're gonna get 3 things when you buy a Frontline gaming mat. The first thing that you're gonna get is the mat itself, obviously to whatever size and pattern that you decided to order. The next thing that you're gonna get is a bag, which is really useful because it helps you to store them in a small area. You could hang them in a closet like on a coat hanger, or you could just set them in a pile on the floor, but they're really tucked away. And the nice thing is when you roll them up to put into the bags, you don't have to worry about any weird creases or fold lines or have to worry about them not setting out flat on the table when you unroll them. Some of mine, like my ocean mat, stays away for 8-9 months at a time because I don't have a high seas encounter. But when I do and I pull it out, I've never had an issue. They just lay out flat to the table like they have always been that way, which is great. The final thing that you get, and I think this is maybe the most useful thing that you get as far as storage goes, but you get a tag that not only tells you what the print is, it shows you the print, and it has a size listed on it. So if you have a whole big pile of these, you can quickly grab the one that you need, and it's not even that you have to pull up each tag and read it. You can just kind of breeze until you see the pattern you're looking for, and then grab the right one. So that's really useful too. Another major benefit of these mats is that they are made of mouse pad material. And what's really useful about that is that they just do not slide. When you deal with something like a piezo mat, it slides all over the place. And if you accidentally bump it or move it, it could knock all your terrain down. That sucks. With these mats, they don't. You can see I'm like literally trying to slide it. I'm putting all my body weight on it and push it back and forth and up and down, and they just don't move. That's just a really nice extra feature. So I know what you're thinking. I can already read some of your minds. Hey, tell me about the negatives. Why do they suck? And I will jump into that right now. One of the things is occasionally you get these little lips on the side that for whatever reason won't flatten out. I think it's very minimal and it doesn't give me a whole lot of headache, but not all of them do it, so I don't know if it's something in the manufacturing process that does that. But compared to like a piezo mat, I really don't think that it's even something to complain about. And it's so minimal that, no one is gonna pay attention to it other than you. Certainly your players won't. The next major negative, I think, is that they are on the edge of expensive. Some of the bigger mats can be up close to, $75, $80. Mats on the smaller side can be down at $30. They do run sales every once in a while. I feel like most of the time that I buy these, it's during their Black Friday sale, which is always a pretty good deal. I wish I could say what percentage off they were, but I feel like they were like 15% off. That certainly helps, but paying $75 for just the mat and you still don't have the terrain to put on top of it, that can sometimes be a pretty hard pill to swallow, particularly if you're not just ordering one, but you wanted to order multiple. Spending a couple $100s is rough when all you're getting is the mats. But honestly, those are my only two negatives. And if the only two negatives are they're a little expensive and occasionally they have a little ruffle on the side, to me, that makes them not that big of negatives at all. Certainly your situation will be different than my situation, but to me, that's a good balance point to have with it. All right, short and sweet, let's start to wrap this up. For the price, I think that these are useful and I have a lot of them. So to me, the answer is an obvious yes. I absolutely love Frontline's gaming mats. At the end of the day, they are expensive. At the end of the day, if your situation does not lend itself to buying either one or a bunch of these mats, you gotta find another option. And that's where next week's video is gonna come in. I'm gonna try to make a board that will function like these. We're gonna see. I'm gonna give you kind of a cost breakdown and all that sort of thing. So if that's something that you would be interested in, you look at the price of these mats and go, wow, that's way out of my budget, out of my price range, whatever. Next week's video could be interesting for you. Right now, I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna do in real time the build, see what it takes in time, see what it takes in money, getting like materials and supplies and stuff, and see if it's worth it. And maybe you just would rather build your own board, and I totally get that too. But at the end, I will give kind of my versus comparison and see whether making your own or buying a mat is the way to go. But as far as this video is concerned, I think this is the best gaming mat on the market. I own a lot of them, and I will continue to buy this product because I really think it's great. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you have a Frontline gaming mat? Do you know of another company that does the same thing as Frontline? Maybe that would be a good place to shout that out. I would love to check out another company, particularly if they have cool art and they check all of the boxes that I listed out in this video. Maybe they're a little cheaper. That'd be awesome. So I'll be talking to you soon, and until next week, I'll be seeing you. When you're only getting the mats. When you're only getting the mats.